You cannot be a multi-hundred million, billion-dollar business without a robust product plan and roadmap of what value you're going to bring the world.
Welcome to Direct Approach, a bi-weekly podcast hosted by Wayne Moorhead, delivering timely insights, fresh perspectives, and actionable takeaways from your direct selling executive peers to fuel your business's growth and evolution. What does it take to build a company that grows from $0 to $200 million in just 3 years? And can a software engineer turned health tech entrepreneur revolutionize how we think about product innovation and customer acquisition in direct selling? In this special episode, guest host Rob Sperry, host of DSN's Built to Last podcast, sits down with Jay Dhaliwal, founder and CEO of the Superpatch Company, to explore the strategic decisions behind one of the fastest growing companies in the channel. Get ready for a conversation packed with insights on hiring unicorns, building platforms, not products, and why 10 million customers is the only goal that matters. But before we begin, we'd like to thank this episode's sponsor, Impact Health Sharing.
Hello, everyone. This is Shelly Rojas with Impact Health Sharing. You know, healthcare has always been a challenge for direct sellers, and especially right now, America's healthcare system is at a crossroads. It's challenging and it's changing fast, with experts predicting that many may see double-digit increases in their monthly premiums this coming year. But at Impact, we've never issued a universal price increase in over our 5 years in business, and we continue to add value at no extra cost to our members. For your field, they could save up to 50% a month by switching to Impact, and our exclusive wellness rewards works perfectly with so many of your auto ship programs, helping your field save even more just for continuing to buy the products they already love. For you, it's a simple way to offer your field a possible solution to a real problem without adding any cost or headcount to your business.
Now let's welcome Rob Sperry and his guest, Jay Dhaliwal.
Welcome to DSN's Direct Approach podcast with Rob Sperry. I am obviously filling in for Wayne. Today, I'm talking with Jay Dhaliwal, the founder and the CEO of Superpatch, which has just had a tremendous amount of success. And so rather than just going through a bullet point intro, what I wanted to do actually is do a little bit different, do a little bit of rapid fire and ask him questions, go through his background. But I wanted to start out with, Jay, how long has Superpatch been around, and what did they achieve in sales this last year?
Well, we launched Superpatch January 14th of 2023, and it's really been an incredible ride. You know, we crossed 60 million our first year. We crossed 100 million 2024, our second year, and we're going to touch 200 million this year.
Wow. I mean, that's unheard of when you look at how many companies are over $100 million in the direct sales profession, and the fact that you guys did it so quickly. And you have some very unique takes in looking at this profession and how to set up your business and how you begin with the end in mind. And I've heard a lot of your philosophies and theories, which we'll get into later, of hiring the right people and all of that incredible stuff. But I want to hear a little bit of your background. So give me, as we're doing rapid fire here, like, what did you do before? And I know you had success in multiple industries, and right now, don't hold back. Like, we want to be impressed. I gave you permission. We want to be impressed. We want to know.
You're very kind, Rob. So listen, my background, by education, I'm a software engineer. I was in online cybersecurity when the internet first started. So when, 96, the world came online, where everybody was trying to figure out a website, with HTML coders were getting paid $150 an hour. I was focused on the security end of it because that much data needed to be protected.
Yeah.
So I positioned myself as an expert in that field, and I did very well. So I was a part of 3 exits in the dot-com heyday. Never give a 29-year-old that much money and success, because you start, hubris kicks in. You think you're so smart, right? But I was at the right place at the right time, working with some of the premier software companies in the world. Along the way, I got my MBA and really got out of the hard coding into product development, business management, and really the sales engineering side of that space. And I did that for a long period of time. And what I found the biggest success in was always being able to see around the corner of what was going to be the next big technology trend. We all know, right? And everybody agrees technology is has created the greatest amount of wealth in the history of humankind, right? Tech companies are the biggest companies in the world. They have the most profit line, they have the most cash. They're changing the world every day. So I always say, you know, disruptive technologies always change the world and always will. And if you know what the next big thing is, and you can position yourself in front of it, you're going to win. You just got to position yourself as an expert, as somebody that's a player in the field, and then just ride that wave. So I did that with online security. And when the .com corrected and it became a big mess, I looked for the next big thing. And this is 2002, 2003. And what I saw at that point was the cell phone phenomenon just kicking in. Like everybody was getting a cell phone. And I managed to position myself as a master distributor for a small company called Nokia in the fastest cell phone growing market in the world on the subcontinent in Southeast Asia. And my little distribution company of myself and 3 sales reps I had, we sold 10 million handsets over 3 years. Right? And just because we saw the future, right? Because we know this is where the world is going, get in front of it, position yourself as an authority, as a leader, as a thought leader, or as somebody that could deliver the service or the good better than anybody else. And becoming that master distributor was obviously work and took some investment, time, and relationships. But then in 2006, when that iPhone came out, I knew that gig was up, right? So I exited that. I sold that to a large national carrier in that part of the world, exited. And what was the next big thing was apps, right? So positioned myself as an early investor in app platforms and online gaming platforms and did really well there as well. And then I woke up at the age of 2008, 38 years old. I hit the American dream out of the park. I mean, crushed it, right? All based on ability to see what was next and position myself with either a service or a product that could deliver on that global need. And the market has to be massive, right? Like niches are great, but whatever you have has to have billions of customers potentially, right? Otherwise, you leave yourself open to a lot of headwinds sometimes, right? And then, you find yourself at a crossroads, and that's where I found myself in 2008. I always think that money was going to buy me everything that I needed, and it did, except fulfillment. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's when purpose found me. The whole transformation from, a tech bro, which was what I went to a large degree, into somebody that's a health tech bro now that's following a different path, was something so personal, which was trying to help my mom with her MS condition. She was diagnosed in 83. And having had resources to provide care for her and the very best care in the world, I'd been exposed to the latest, greatest health solutions that money could buy, only to find that the silver lining wasn't real, that the light at the end of the tunnel was always a train. And, I made a decision that I was going to try to investigate this in a way perhaps that health and wellness quarter hadn't been examined, in which would led to eventually the product and the company we have today, with a lot of hop, skips, jumps in between. The first product that I developed was a pair of socks and insoles for another company called Vox Life. And again, just a phenomenal product. We sold 7 million pairs globally, at $40 a pair. But like, what? I guess, yeah, we were in a number of companies in the world. We were the best selling socks in the world in some places, right? And still a great company, still a great product. Our commitment to R&D, my commitment to understanding that mind-body connection, led to the development of the Superpatch product and our vibrotactile technology, this platform that I've developed that allows us to make these drug-free solutions.
So first it was the product, from my understanding, then it was network marketing.
Yeah.
And I guess my biggest question, right, or when we're looking at, let's say, direct sales a little bit broader, what brought you into direct sales? Because when I'm hearing this background, I'm not thinking, right, like you're doing these huge, massive deals, massive companies. You parlay one success into the next success. You obviously learned how to scale and sell extremely well, because a lot of people can sell very well, but they don't know how to scale. And you've done that
Yeah.
multiple times, multiple exits. So you've seen that, you know what it takes, you know how to begin with the end in mind. So what led you to direct sales?
Real simple answer. The technology we've developed, and I say this with all humility, Rob, and all your listeners and viewers, everyone, I'm not saying this out of anything other than just sheer fact. What we've developed is at least 50 years ahead of anything else in the world. It needs an explanation. It's a demonstratable benefit. It's a demonstratable product. And the way that people are learning now isn't the same way they used to learn before. This product is made for this industry, a demonstratable product that has an origin story, that has a transformation story, that you can show the benefit to them. This thing sitting on a rack, it's not going to do the job, right? So this isn't, oh, I chose, it's just the right fit. Here's a product that has all of these market advantages of intellectual property that's protected, efficacy that's proven, the clinical trials that are done, 6 billion person market opportunity. It's priced absolutely right. All those things that I would do if I was at Procter & Gamble, we did. What is not replaceable is the need to tell the story, share the product, and demonstrate its efficacy, right? This is the only channel in the world that does it. And as we see, people's attention span in the world right now is down to 2 seconds, right, Rob? So how do you bring them a new message? How do you bring them a new product, right? And we all know how people feel about mainstream media and mainstream advertising. No one believes anything anymore, right? What are we going back to? We're going back to trusting our friends and referrals and those different types of things. It's all back to basics, man. It's about, we try products based on people's opinion who we like and trust, right? The last 5 books I read were recommended to me. The last 4 restaurants I went to were recommended to me. The last 3 places I went on vacation were recommended to me. Hello, right? When we go to, my wife loves going to spas, recommended, right? You go, anything is a recommendation. And now there's an experience to our product, right? And you experience it and you feel it right away. And when I talk to industry experts about our product, they're like, this is the best product for network marketing ever made. It's easy to use. It's demonstratable. It's affordable. And it doesn't expire, right? They're like, dude, you got it all figured out. I said, so what we did is we followed that technology adage that you learn in high tech, which is make the killer app, make the killer product, make the best possible product. I'm only interested in making the best. Make the best product that delivers on its product promise, and then get the best possible people to execute the vision and the plan. Because if it's a Me Too product, and today, Rob, better than I do, Me Too products, like there's a guy named Jeff Bezos who has an empire in this galactic thing called Amazon that is the purveyor of Me Too products, right? Not interested in that. Why would I want to compete with that guy? I'm successful. That guy has a different level of reach, resources, and power, right? So I want to be the best at what we do, make the best possible product, find the best people to work with, and then go. And then go.
And I look at it like you just said there, the Me Too products are harder and harder and harder because there's so many, and now there's so many opportunities for people just to have their own website and connect it to Shopify. And then they got their TikTok shops that they're selling, and everyone's saying, well, my product does this or does that just based on a website. And AI is absolutely changing the game in many aspects for marketing and for strategy and for insights. But on the other side, going back to what you're saying, if you're using it properly, it's making the in-person type stuff actually even more important, because that's something that is irreplaceable. And I'm thinking what you're saying there, the example I love to give, and this relates to the field leaders, it relates to all of us for just having another voice. If your world-renowned doctor says, Jay, take product X, Y, and Z, like it is the greatest product ever. And then all of a sudden your 2 best friends are like, Jay, that product is so bad. It sucks. We took it. It's 100%. The worst, right? Gave me a rash on my back. And all of a sudden you're listening to your 2 best friends over this world renowned doctor. So what you're saying is absolutely true of there's, yes, still staying in tune and ahead with all of the AI and modern day technology. It's not taking away from that. But then on the opposite side of the coin, the basics and the human element are more important than ever. And you keep saying the best. Like, I love that. Like, over and over, it's like the best. So I guess with that, my question is from all of your scaling and doing so well with this previous exits, what philosophies have you taken from your previous experiences and made as part of your core infrastructure? Because to be able to scale as fast as you have as a company is extremely, extremely rare. Now, we hear about them when they do. And so I think oftentimes people think they're less rare than they are because it becomes such a big deal. But we know you're dealing with international and you're dealing with like opening product registration. And then you got different regulations. And then you got different country managers that you're dealing with, right? And bank accounts and how much you have to have in the bank account as you go.
All of it.
All of it. Back
all
offices,
of it.
everything.
All of it. And you're right, Rob. And the thing is, it's just discipline, right? You have to have a real clear idea of what the scale is going to cost on an economic level, right? We've spent now almost 40 million on R&D over the last, now approaching 17 plus years, right? Because it costs money. Innovation is expensive, right? You're going to make 1,000 mistakes and 1,000 minimal viable products that don't work before you get to the one that does. Okay. This is why it's so expensive, because innovation isn't in old books. So number one, you have to adopt, believe, and absorb and make it part of your DNA that we don't stop innovating. First of all, and for us, that's top down. That product on every measurable level has to be the best material, best everything, tested, clinicals, everything done the right way. But to your point of how do you build for the scale, you need to have financial resources. You got to have money in the bank, a lot of money in the bank. A lot of people misunderstand how much money it actually costs to actually launch a network marketing company the right way. People ask me, so what do you think? I'm like, listen, if you don't have $25 to $30 million in the bank, don't do this. It's gonna grind you. Why? Because scale requires it. Like today, we could 5x our business in this month, and our supply chain won't miss a beat. We won't miss a product delivery. We won't go out of stock on our best-selling products. No chance. Because one thing, network marketing, you know better than I, forecasting is fuzzy math in network marketing, right? Because you don't know when that momentum thing's going to kick in or when it's going to flatline, right? So what do you have to do? You have to get it vertically integrated as much as you can. You have to partner with the best suppliers in the world. So we work with the best supply chain in the world. I've invested into our supply chain in a way that few companies do. Why? That's how scale happens. When the biggest companies in the world are my strategic partners in a real sense, then my success is their success and their success is my success. And you have to be able to plan that. And to do the right planning, you need experienced people. So everybody in the executive team comes from the startup to Fortune 500 world. We all understand scale. We all understand startup. We all understand the resources that are needed and the processes that are in place. My job as the CEO is to make sure I have the right product, the right processes, and the right people. Product, we nailed 100%. People, I believe in unicorns. A unicorn walks into my office, I make space. I have the best executive team in this industry by far. I've put this team up against Apple, Google, you name it. They're as qualified, have worked at those companies and know what it takes. And a philosophy that we apply to every single executive here is talent density. Everybody needs to be able to do the work of 3+ people and not just delegate. Understand that the output is going to come from their team is validated for excellence. Because delegating something and not even know what it's supposed to output is fluff, right? It's not real. And so when you meet our executive team, you've met some of them, they're the best in the world. This allows us to scale at a speed that other companies can't compete. We don't need to go figure out from somebody else what we need to do. We know what to do, and every single one is an individual contributor. And that was a concept that Steve Jobs swore by, right? Which was you better be able to do the job that you're managing, that the best person to do that thing was the manager of that department, right? That person knew everything about what needed to happen and how it was and what excellence was and what the best was. So we apply that. We apply that to the product. And then the hardest part in all of this, Rob, is the process, right? Because the velocity of business is changing so fast. So you have to really understand what are the A decisions and what are the B decisions. And you got to pivot fast, right? So the A and B decision is a concept, popularized by Jeff Bezos. He says A decisions are decisions you can make to test. If you don't like what you see, you can step right back in that door and start where you started. B decisions are once you go through that door and you make that decision, you can't go back. Can't go back. Now that's your new reality. And now you have to do whatever it takes to survive in that, right? So we do a ton of A decisions. And then our A decisions become B decisions. And once in a while, you have the big B decisions, right? So what are B decisions? B decisions are like, what's our tech stack? What is our ERP system? What is our CRM system? Because those things are big, heavy lifts to implement, and you can't really go back, right? You can't go back. But A decisions are, can we try this marketing? Can we try this concept? Can we try this concept? The platform of our product development doesn't change. How we bring the face to the world, we'll try different things. We'll try different things. The website that we see in North America is not the website you see in Europe. Different demographic, different psychographic, different consumer, different distributor. And we can't have this ego about it, saying, oh, well, no. We have to give the world what they want, how they want it, when they want it. Right? And you have to listen, you have to do the market research. The biggest thing missing in network marketing is market research. Companies don't do the research, man. I don't know why. Hope and a prayer. And I go, not for us.
Well, it's true. Most of the time, basic questions that I'll ask, and of course, I won't name any companies. The goal is to edify this profession, but most of the time, basic things of, okay, tell me more about your top selling product. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, this is our best one. Okay. Like, what are the metrics? You typically, if they get to 3 or 4 months, and if they order forever, but like, what are the exacts? When's the drop off? What's your open rate on your emails? What's your click-through rate? What's your win back like right after, right? What's your customer loyalty? What's your lifetime value of a customer as you go? Like when you launch products, is it just quick fix launches where you get a quick bump? Like I've seen with several companies in the last year, I can think of 2 that had a massive, massive bump. Everyone still thinks those companies are doing well, but in reality, it didn't really fit their narrative and their story, and they didn't pivot into an entirely new direction. So it was a quick fix bump. And now they're actually worse than they were. And so that kind of goes to my next question is one of the things I love about your vision is that you're always talking in terms of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now. And the reason why that's so important is because you have many companies that have started to make really short-term decisions. Now, I don't envy the CEO that feels that pressure where they have to because of founders. Sometimes it's not the CEO's fault. That's what they're told they have to do. But I see so many short-term decisions made where they make the long-term sacrifices because they're in it to increase profits for this quarter, but in the end, it hurts for the next 2 years because they're so fixated on it. And for you, getting into this out of more of a legacy because you've made your money multiple times over and now looking for fulfillment, right? It's just a different take. That's a legacy type take that I feel like used to be there. I mean, I remember in 2008, that's what everybody talked about. It was like, someday this is a willable, sellable asset, pass on to your kids and grandkids. And I almost never hear that anymore. So yeah. I do understand. And there's a lot of reasons
for that. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that, brother. There's a lot of reasons why that's missing. And it's the intentionality of why does that business exist? Right? Why does this business exist? Why does any business exist? Right? The purpose of a business is to deliver value for the product or service that it makes or provides. That is the function of a business. And if at the core of it, it's not delivering that, then you have a massive gap between what a business is and whatever that is. Okay. So when people say to me, product doesn't matter or the service doesn't matter, and I'm like, that's not a business, man. Sorry. Right? That's not a business. And the way that we treat this business is that we've invested in a proprietary platform of technology. And that's the other key thing for scale. You can't scale unless you have a platform to grow your business on. So the platform at Apple is iOS. It's the interconnectivity, right? So our platform is called VTT, Vibrotactile Transduction. It's the technology that I've developed that allows us to build our patches. We started with one, we're at 13, and we get a 10-year product roadmap based on this platform. We know exactly what product's going to come out when the studies will be done, and when we're treat it like a business, right? And so what happens is the way that I tell our team and I tell our leaders is that, listen, what we're building, what you're individually building is a distribution channel. I had that master distributorship for Nokia, right? 10 million phones, 10 million handsets over 3 years. That's a lot of phones, right? And I had sub-distributors, all those different things that worked all the way through down, right? And what were we building? We didn't own the product. We own a distributorship. So what my team and what our field is building for themselves is a distribution channel. How many products move through your organization? The way that our comp plan is set up, once they hit a certain rank and above executive levels, they get paid on every product that their organization, their company, their business distributes. So they know exactly what they're building. They know how many customers they have. They know how many sub-distributors they have. And now that has an asset. Your customer base and your recurring revenue is the value of your business. Incorporate it, and you've got something that has intrinsic value that you can build. And because the nature of our business, the nature of our product, and the nature of the value we deliver, which is drug-free health and wellness, we have an infinity business. Why? Because we're solving infinity problems. Pain, sleep, stress, mobility, calorie control, mood, you name it. All the biggest health and wellness needs that the world is saying, hey, we'd like to have a drug-free solution for, we've built out. So we have a global market that's addressable by everybody that's building it. But the key is, how big do you want to go is completely up to you. And when you have that, when you have a built-in client base, when you've done the work to build your distributor channel, when you've done the work to build your client base, you can sit back and say, oh my gosh, I've built this thing, and now it's a transferable asset. Now it has real residual income. Why? It's based on real revenue, based on customer base of a need that's being fulfilled because that need and that product has a value, right? And I think these basic conversations, I want to talk to my brothers and sisters on network marketing comes like, come on, guys, like we got to get back to the basics. Deliver great product that has value, deliver great services that have value, and we can demand and ask for the right thing. So instead of begging for pennies, we can demand dollars for our businesses and the products that we make.
Well, I love your long-term thinking, and I know it's such a balance because some companies, maybe if they're not equipped financially, like you said, like it takes, they feel, I'm going to say the word feel, forced to make short-term decisions that hurt their company long-term, and they keep making them over and over and over again. Whereas you look at it from, yeah, of course you want to help the short term, but you're never going to sacrifice the long term. And one of the things you already talked about and alluded to that I was really excited to ask you about is, and I'm excited for you to share, just so you guys know, like I'm personally friends with Jay, and he's always telling me if a company's doing bad, how sad he is and how bummed and how much it's going to hurt. Like he has the bigger picture. And when a company's doing well, he's always excited and inspired of, hey, what are they doing and what can I learn?
Yeah.
Which I greatly admire. And so I'd love for you to share with everyone your insights on these unicorns you talk about, and you've talked about it consistently. And I've met several of them, and having this incredible exec team, like what goes through this process? Because I'm sure you would say even you, have made mistakes. We've all made mistakes, right? Where we hire the wrong person, and every 100%. Corporate exec wants to get better at, they're trying to figure out the value. So I love your saying they got to do 3x, right? What someone that's good would do.
Yeah.
How do you evaluate? Are you doing background checks? You got a series?
Real simple. Real
Tell
simple.
me.
So here's it's for everyone that even if you're my cohorts and you own different companies, I'll share this with you because it works. And I don't operate from a competitive mindset. I think a healthier industry is better for all of us, right? Every time a company goes sideways, I know it hurts the entire industry, right? We all feel it. We all got to justify why we're doing what we're doing, right? So for me, I love success, right? Because I also learn from success. I'm always asking Rob, what's working, what's not working, right? Because we got to learn. So this is the thing, gang. There's some questions you have to ask because you have to understand the person. And the question I always ask is, what are the 3 things in your life that have formed the value system you have today? And what are those things and what values did you develop from it? It's because from my experience, there's 3 things that made us today. There's 3 big things, decisions we made or didn't make that we ended up where we are today. It might be more.
And that right there gives you like a little insight on who they are, right?
100%. 100%. Then I asked them, what is the hardest thing you've ever done that relates to the job that they're going to be doing for you? And I spend an inordinate amount of time because I'm an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. I've done everything in this company and I've done everything at other companies. So I know that it's very hard to BS me.
Yeah.
Because I know the job. I know what it takes, right? So I have this lens of experience, and my executive team has this lens of experience that we're going to go right down to the details. When somebody says, well, we did this, I go, no, we. What was the problem? What did you do? What were the consequences? What were the outcomes? And I want to get very specific. And it might sound like a very hard, and it is. It's very intense because working for me is very intense. Because I'm very, very action oriented, right? and then I want to know the next hardest thing they did, because the person that's actually done it, Rob, they know the details. They know exactly what went right, what went wrong, what they did, what happened, what didn't happen, what the outcome. Trust me. Of all the things in your life that were the hardest things to do, I know that you could rhyme that off step by step to the minutia of detail, to the person you worked with, the people that helped you and the people that hurt you. And you know within a $5 how much money you made or lost. Yeah? That's true for everybody, brother. And I'm going to ask those questions. And the fakers, they get exposed really fast.
They're like, and they're trying to go back and forth. And it's also good because you all know that are tuning in right now, the BS meter, you get better and better of finding like when someone's giving like all these different filler words and stories and they're exaggerating. And, there's some that it's maybe tougher, but you really start to see it when people hype stuff up and people are trying to take credit for everything and they're not willing to let you know some of the mistakes they made and some of the weaknesses that they may have that they've learned and learning lessons throughout.
100%. Because if you haven't succeeded, you haven't learned. There's no learning from success. If you haven't failed, you haven't learned. I don't want to hire anybody that hasn't failed a lot of times and learn from it. That means you did some stuff, you didn't know what the hell you were doing, you learned. And what did they learn from that and how did they apply it, right? So it's this progress. People say, well, I never lose. I'm like, well, you're not going to lose with me, brother, because you're not coming here. You have to learn, right? And that's what separates great executives from, because what I don't want are managers. Managers are bad in the field and they're bad at corporate. Okay? People who are just like, oh, I'm just man. No. You got to lead from the front. What does that mean? You got to do the do. You got to take all the arrows. You got to take all the bullets, but you get all the laurels too, right? You get the reward for that success, right? And what do I do? So I find the unicorn and I compensate them the same as a Fortune 500 company, if not better.
Now that's interesting because that doesn't happen most of the time in direct sales. So that's That's definitely a very interesting insight because you're looking as well. I know you understand that long term, it makes a huge difference if you have them there. And if you're not compensating them properly, it's a quick fix for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. But then on the opposite side, then they're gone and trying to start over and over and over again of finding
doesn't
those
work,
right
man.
people.
It doesn't work. This is what happens, right? And I see it. I've seen it in other companies. I've spoken to other owners, and I see what's happening. So this is what happens. You have an executive team that's the best in class, right? As I have the best in class team. They are the pipes and the glue holding this thing together. This thing's a rocket ship. It's going very fast in space, right? The analogy that I give, for my ops team, I go, my ops team is the pit crew at an F1 race. They change the wheels and the oil going 200 miles an hour. That car never stops. They're refueling that jet going Mach 2. That's how good they are. Because you can't turn off the website. You can't turn it off. Right? And those mechanisms and those mechanics and the understanding of project management and the understanding of IT infrastructure, the understanding of redundancy and parallel systems and parallel processing, that's a very high level of experience and thinking and execution that's required, right? We're doing that every day, every minute that's happening. And those people are rare. The best are very rare. So what happens is when you put them in this, what I love about our industry is the unlimited income potential for the people in the field, right? What I don't want are the people that work at corporate, because we don't cap anybody's income, bro. You go for it, man. You want to make 10 million, you can do it. Here's the plan. There's no cap. Go nuts. What I can't and what I do not want to do, and I think wouldn't be terribly fair, is if the people that are helping us deliver on that value for the field, is if their economics are also limited, because it's only natural that they would feel a certain way about it if they weren't also part of the financial success of the company, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm very mindful of that. If they are the unicorns, which they are, then they deserve to be paid like the unicorns that they are. Right?
Yeah, I mean, imagine being a top corporate executive and you grow the company from 50 million to 200 million, and you see a leader emerge from making $10,000 a month to making $200,000 a month, and you're still stuck making the same exact amount of money. I mean, you still have, if you're the more of a unicorn you are, the more ambition you have, and the compensation really is just, it's the gratitude and appreciation 100%. Of, hey, let's grow this thing together, and understanding that.
Yeah, because they also have a dream and they also have a vision, right? So every one of my executive teams, when they come on board and they're ready to go, I ask them, hey, what's the number? What's the big number for you? 5 years today, 10 years today? I need to know that, Rob, because I want to work with them to help them. How can I say that I care and I'm a leader of this company and that I'm not interested in their financial success? It doesn't make any sense to me. How are you going to get there? What can I do? What's this compensation? Your executive comp plan going to be aligning for you to get there, right? Because if the company doesn't have the economics to do that, then there are fundamental economic problems in the economic model, in the financial plan, that I can't afford to hire the best people and keep them. That means my SG&A is out of whack. That means my cost of goods is out of whack. That means everything's out of whack, right? And then that financial engineering is as important as the product engineering, as the software engineering. That do we have a scalable? If your business is not profitable and can't afford to keep people, you're not going to scale. Sorry. That's a hole in the boat, and little holes become big holes.
Are you ready to revolutionize the way your direct selling company accesses industry insights? Introducing the DSN Library's Smart Search, an AI-powered tool that puts over 2,000 curated assets at your fingertips. From compensation trends to emerging markets, answers are just a click away. If you're already a DSN supporter, then you have access to Smart Search right now. If not, it's time to check out our updated program. Starting at just $1,000 per month, your entire company can get access to the channel's most comprehensive collection of education and insights available. Visit directsellingnews.com/supporter to see a demo of Smart Search in action and to learn how your company can become a supporter now. We also invite you to join us at the Future of Commerce Deep Dive event, where we tackle the critical question, what's the right choice for your company? With countless platforms, partners, and promises competing for your attention, clarity is harder to find than ever. This event is designed to help you cut through the noise and make informed decisions that drive growth and innovation in your business. Join us to explore cutting-edge e-commerce solutions, gain actionable insights, and connect with industry leaders shaping the future of commerce. Visit dsnevents.com today for details.
There's such a fine line of having the vision and holding, right, your vision, the company's vision, the collective vision for everyone. So critical and so important. But then you have the field leaders, and you want to have that collaboration with them where you're listening to them so you're in tune of what's going on, but also they don't have your perspective in everything that you know that's going on. So it's really a fine line of I'm listening to you, right? Where they feel like you're listening and you're taking some of the insights. Other times you're not, and you have to communicate why. So what's that line of communication? What's that process that you go through? Because I've heard stories from you. And one thing I'll share real quickly is that you shared one time where you had to do a slight price increase. And rather than just doing it, you actually got on with your leaders. You went through everything. You're like, this is what I'm making. Here's my percentage. Like you were just straight up with them. You're like, this is what it costs. Then you add in like the volume and everything. And you literally broke it down like they were business owners and partners for them to understand that this is what makes this business go because we're putting money here, 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 here. And we want to scale. And that type of transparency is very unique, but it also builds a ton of trust. So that's just one example I can think of, but I'd love to hear your process and thoughts on that.
Listen, the challenge that I've run into and I continue to work with the field leadership is this. Coming from the business background, you were always surrounded by people that were business people. They understood the P&L, they understood the annual report, they understood the forecast, they understood everything, right? There's some inherent challenges in our industry that come to that. Number one, forecasting is non-existent. Okay, there's no forecast. You don't know. You have an idea, but you don't know, right? Like this is, these companies are not made for public. I tell you, I go this public. This is scary as heck, right? Because you're trying to manage a stock price with an unreliable forecast. Different body. But with what I treat the field like they're legitimate entrepreneurs and business owners, right? That this is what it's going to take for you to succeed in terms of your commitment, your contribution to your business, time, energy, money, effort, training, personal development. All of those things are important. And here's the activities that are going to reward you with a financial output, right? And you're the master of teaching those activities, right? But it's always a reminder. What it comes from, though, is that I don't believe in infinite growth. Doesn't make sense. You're not going to keep growing forever. Okay. So what I've done a really good job is teaching our leadership about what the inflection point in a business is. And I think we're the only company in network marketing in the last 20 years that's actually been thinking about the inflection point. That you're going to hit momentum, you're going to grow, you're going to hit a plateau, and then things are going to start going the other way. And as a responsible CEO, I need to be able to predict when that inflection point is going to happen, what the parameters in the business are going to change, what that real economic impact is going to be for the field, for the company, for myself, everybody. And then what am I going to do about it? The only thing that helps any company over, and the tech world lives on the inflection point, by the way, that S curve of success, is innovation. That what is going to happen at that point in time where we're going to be able to bring more value, different value to our consumer. Who's the consumer? The end user. Because that's who we serve. We are the distribution channel. I'm the manufacturer. My field is the distribution channel. And all of our revenue comes from somebody at the end, right? Nothing happens until somebody buys something. Right? So at the end of it, there's got to be a consumer for it. And we've done, I think, a really good job of teaching them why innovation is important, why inflation is a real part of economics, right? And this is why we didn't think of a comp plan and put a price point on our product. We thought, here's our product. We price tested our product. to see what is the market going to bear for our product and our value. And then we built the economic model around. That's how we got from 0 to 60 million to 100 million, now to 200 million, is because people can pay for the product reliably and consistently and at scale. A lot of my friends out there, I mean, they're great guys, they're great women, right? But they've missed the pricing lesson, right? It's like, okay, if it's too expensive, you're going to hit some headwinds, right? And you're going to get fatigue. Your inflection point is going to come sooner. And then they don't know how to innovate. 99% of network marketing owners, my friends, my colleagues, they're not product people. They've never actually gone into the guts of it, of making a product and understanding the product value and the end user value and the consumer value and how it's going to grow, right? Somebody in the company needs to be that person. Like Steve Jobs was the product guy. He was the product guy. Like he had to be the best. Larry Ellison at Oracle, he knew exactly what that product needed to be. Elon is there's a lot of examples for us to say, that the most successful financial people in the world are product people. Right, Rob? You're going to live and
you look at it, right? Like, would they, if it weren't network marketing, right? Would it be something that they're interested in if their friends
100%.
told them about it, or if they saw it? Now, sometimes it needs a little more explanation, like you said, because it can't do it justice. That's why you're in direct sales. And then too many price it to the comp plan, like you said, instead of the marketplace. And there's so much innovation that goes into it, but then there's also so much market research of learning and understanding what they're willing to pay for, what their expectation was it met? Like, how long are they staying on the product?
100%.
When's their drop off? Because it's like having, like you talked about the holes, it's like having the bucket of water, and the water is the recruiting. And most companies just keep focusing on the water, the new promo, like what's going on, leaders, like, let's work harder. Let's do a new incentive, do this, do that. And there's so many holes in the bucket. It doesn't matter how much water goes in the bucket, right? The holes aren't being plugged. If you just plug some of those holes a little bit, it makes all the difference.
It's all the difference in the world. So I'll give you an example, right? And I share this with the field. I said, listen, we have 13 products, right? All individually are potentially globally multi-billion-dollar opportunity because of the value they bring. So I work with the premier market research companies in health and wellness, the top. These are people that work with Procter & Gamble, with Unilever, the big pharma, you name it, they're their clients. And we just finished this 2 months ago. And this was the project. I want to prioritize our go-to products. Where can we spend marketing, branding dollars and help our field focus? Which are our three biggest opportunities, because threes you can scale, right? Take three, grow, take three, grow. You don't want to spend, I'd rather spend 10 million on 3 products than 13 million on 13 products. Makes no sense. You're going to get way more.
That's focus. I like that.
That's focus, right? And it's going to get to the second part of this. So I said, quantify those for us. Tell us what we need to do to maximize that market, and tell us what that market size is, real attainable, just in the United States. Where the US goes, the world will follow. This whole hoopla out there, the network marketing in the United States is dying. It's all nonsense. Anybody listening, don't believe it. It's a lie. It's being advocated by people who are not interested in network marketing, but network marketing is alive and well. This is the purest form of capitalism that exists anywhere in the world, and America is the capitalist champion of the world. Let no one tell you otherwise. So enough of that soapbox. Let's get back to the data. So we said,
and that's from a Canadian.
That's from a Canadian who's worked in the States.
Yeah,
for
I
half
love
his
it.
professional career, right? So this is what happens. So the data came back, 10,000 person market research study, Rob. So real data across multiple demographics and psychodemographics. So we know that if we can execute just on these 3 products with a marketing plan that obviously I'm not going to share because there's some confidential stuff in there, right? And positioning stuff that we paid a lot of money for. That just at retail, just at the consumer level, bringing our product through the field to the end public, through referral, through whatever social media, whatever programs that we use, over the next 3 to 5 years, we can build a business just on those 3 products, just in the United States of America, between 1.2 and 1.5 billion.
Wow.
That's the market opportunity for us now. And we're a 2.5-year-old company, dude. right? So what does that give us? It gives us the data, clarity of where we want to go, how we want to get there, who we want to get there with, what we're going to market, what we're going to promote, and what we're going to innovate, right? So what this gives my field leaders and my leadership is that confidence that there is a real plan that and it's not because I woke up today and said, oh, that this is the data, this is data driven, this is insight driven, and we're going to do things this way. You can choose to do things your way because obviously this is a volunteer relationship. But if you want to succeed and ride the wave and maximize your time, energy, and effort, then do it this way and focus on these solutions.
You just got third-party validation, though. We talked about third-party validation earlier, and you just got it. And, I've heard multiple examples from billionaires where they're like, what's the key to success? Like multiple examples where they didn't hear what the other billionaire said. And from Steve Jobs to Warren Buffett, and in their own words, they pretty much always say focus is the superpower. It's saying no to more. And in network marketing, it's like, launch this one off, launch that, launch this, launch that, launch that. So you already know now we have our focus. We're not going to be good or average at 20 things. We're going to be great. We know the 3 we're going to focus on, and we're going to keep doing that. Now it's Volunteer Army. You can do what you want. I love you. I support you. But this 100%. Is where the vision is, and that's where you're casting it big enough and showing them with this third-party validation. And with that, you've also gone into creating very unique programs, thinking about like bigger picture. So I want you, they're not going to understand this like when I say these words. So I want you to explain to them the CapEx program. Like explain what that is and how that came about, because that goes with your long-term thinking.
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking that, Rob. So listen, it is a simple but complex program that we set up, right? So everyone agrees that customer revenue is the most reliable and scalable revenue there is, right? McDonald's talks about billions and billions and billions served, right? Coca-Cola has 4 billion servings a day. Apple talks about units sold. It's about, they don't talk about how many Apple stores they are. They don't talk about how many distributors they have, right? So this is a real thing in business. This is how people buy. People buy a brand, a product, and a value, right? And if we accept that to be the truth, how do I empower and how do I give the field leverage to do that? Okay. How do I give the field and the company the opportunity to use best-in-class solutions of brand awareness, of mass media marketing, of ambassadorships, of global celebrities, and make it fit in the direct sales model? So we figured it out. So we call it the CapEx program, Crowd Advertising Platform X. And so because the company and I have more resources than our distributor, any individual distributor, so what we do is we put together mass media advertising campaigns. We invest in the creative, we invest in the media. So we're just launching our infomercial and our pain patch and our sleep patch with Jay Glazer. It's like this crazy production. It's off the chart, starts in September, back on TV, right? We pay for all of it. We pay for the media, right? But everyone knows that media acquisition is so expensive that the real value is the lifetime value. So we reduce that acquisition of that customer. We can write down to an exact dollar of what it cost above and beyond what was recouped. So for example, if it cost us $85 with the media spend and the shipping and the product, and we sold something for $60, my acquisition cost was $85, my revenue return was $60, there's a net negative of $25, right? I will then take that $25 cost of acquisition and turn it into a token that anybody in the field can buy. And so all those customers acquired go into this CapEx pool of customers, which has a lifetime revenue generating LTV. And everybody that has a token gets a proportional portion of that lifetime value of that customer in the entire pool. So what happens is they get to participate in the mass media advertising, not before it's spent, I absorb all the risk because I can afford to absorb the risk, and all they're participating is in the future upside. And so, say I spent $1 million on advertising, right? Everything goes out the door, cost me $1 million. We recoup $750. If I can recover that $250,000 in the media spend for the token with the field participating, I can spend that next $1 million the next week and the week after and the week after and the week after, right? So what happens is they get the full advantage of the CapEx program. So now imagine there's a Super Bowl commercial. There's a QR code. Everybody who participated in that advertising campaign, all those people from that QR code that buy off the Super Bowl are going to go into that pool. And every time they buy again, they get a piece of that revenue. And so what we're doing is we're democratizing mainstream media. And the field gets to participate in it. Voluntary, they don't have to.
Yeah.
But every customer goes into that pool. And every time they participate with us, they get a piece of that. Now imagine, so this is the big picture. My goal, and I have very hairy, audacious goals. My goal is 5 years, I want 10 million customers. Now this is the big picture, Rob. This is where we're headed. I got 10 million customers, and we'll get it. I have no doubt. Across all of our different products, we'll get 10 million customers over the next 5 years. Now imagine I get a 20% repurchase rate of some mix on my 10 million customers. At 2 million customers buying a month, at $100, that's my average spend is a lot higher, but say it's $100. 2 million times 100 is how much, Rob?
200 million.
Every month.
That's nuts.
In customer revenue. That's paid out weekly.
Which, I mean, as you're saying right there, big picture, I know this sounds common sense, but I'm just breaking it down here is I've seen the companies that have done the best long-term that have focused on this, because you never know. You love your leaders. You hope that you can provide for them. You hope that they see it, but no matter what you do, there are always going to be people that see things differently or something happens. Doesn't matter. We're not getting into that. But you're going to fall to the level of your customer base. You're going to go through momentum spikes with people coming and there's this big story and excitement, right? But then you're going to fall back to the customer base. You're going to go through that. I've seen companies that have lost some of their best leaders and not drop off in volume because they were so good at their customer acquisition. And so like you said, like, I love how you gave the analogy with Apple and all these. They're not counting how many stores do we have, right? They're looking at the bottom line.
And this goes right back to what I said before. What am I teaching and what am I leading the field to understand is they're building a distribution business. So suppose you're a leader with our organization, right? And every month you're getting a piece of $100 million customer volume base. Where are you going, bro? You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, thanks, Jay. Thanks, bro.
But right? That's the ultimate.
Why would you leave?
I mean, that's like a whole nother level, because what I'll teach.
What we solve is attrition. What the CapEx problem over time solves is attrition. Why? If you have a reliable, manageable, scalable customer base and the company is sharing that volume and sharing that profitability with the field, why would you even blink? You'd be like, no.
It'd be like playing any sport. You and I love basketball. So it'd be like someone coming to play basketball. They want to become great and they're not great. And they're a bench player, but they're on the team that's actually winning. It's this collaboration when you're joining a winning team, which gives you hope. Hope gives you the ability to stay longer, and hopefully you take action so you can take progress. But when you're joining in the field, what I'll tell the newbies, it's like two companies merging is an analogy. The newbie with the company. And what you're doing is your goal is to hide the weaknesses and accentuate the strengths. So your weakness may be lack of credibility when someone's a newbie, but they're like, I got the company that has the credibility and the upline and the science and the technology. Well, this is enhancing that right there, where it's like, no. Most people aren't going to do media buy, actually no one, but we know how to do this really well. And we can do this together as a team, which gives that big picture vision as you go.
And the other thing that really cements it, and people say, why is this good for the field? This is good for the field. I know so many multi-$100 million network marketing companies that no one's ever heard of. Right? So imagine when our field is talking to people and recruiting new people, but they just saw the infomercial. They just saw the TV ad. They just saw us on Super Bowl. They just saw the biggest celebrities in the world endorse. And it's like, oh, this is real. This is so real. And so what does mass media advertising do? Number one, brand awareness, brand credibility. And it does a third thing, which is even more powerful. It reaffirms the customer's buying decision. Oh, that's what I buy. That's what I use. It's not necessarily about, yes, about new customers, but it's about maintaining your customer base. Because as soon as they see it on TV, it reestablishes why they bought it and makes them feel good about their decision. We're going down the highway, dude. You see a McDonald's sign, and 5 miles later on the exit, there's a McDonald's. I'm guilty, bro. I'm pulling over, getting a fries and shake, right? It's just reaffirming the things that you like.
It's your brand isn't what you think it is. It's what the world thinks it
100%.
is. And you're looking at it and understanding the biggest companies, they've built the biggest brands. You're thinking, like we talked about, 5 years, 10 years, like you're teaching right now and advocating for the profession. I know you're going to be at the DSU speaking in the fall at that event, which I'm really excited about. And I'm thinking about, the recent podcast Built to Last that we started with the DSN. And I'm thinking of a last question that I could ask that would go along with that. And it would be, what would you tell other CEOs about building something that lasts? Because you've seen some things never change, some of these principles, right? But you also have seen certain aspects, maybe techniques, mindset shifts, quick fixes that have changed inside of this industry. And so if you were talking to other CEOs and a CEO said to you, like, Jay, all your previous experience, now you have these new experiences with network marketing. How can I build something that lasts? I know it's a pretty generic question, so you can go in any direction you want there.
It's a great question. It's a hard question. And I'm not a politically correct person. You know me better than I have. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say a hard thing in a soft way. We really, as owners, we really have to ask ourselves of the value we're bringing to the world. Is the product or service we have, if it went away, would the world miss it? Right? Because for a long time, network marketing was where you got the latest, greatest, best stuff. Whatever it was, right, Rob? It was measurably superior. It was quantifiably better. And it's a journey to do that assessment. You got to put the pride away a little bit, and you got to go dig deep. And if you're finding yourself you're not there yet, then you have to go dig deeper and innovate and go build, not buy. To all my network marketing brothers out there, sisters who own the companies, you got to invest in building your product or your service. You got to own it. You got to own the IP. You got to own the idea. You got to love it so much. You got to, because that's what's going to carry you to the long term. That's what's going to give you your differentiator. That's what's going to separate you from everything else. If you could have that competitive advantage, you could last forever. But what does it take? It takes a commitment to saying that this matters and that the value we're going to bring the world is so substantial that there will be a client base and a market for us in every corner of the world. That's how I've built Superpatch. That's my advice anyway.
I mean, it's a simple but deep answer. I mean, would it matter if your product went away? Are you just being a copycat of hey, everyone else is doing this product, which many have done that over and over and over. And those are the Band-Aid patch jobs, right? Like where it's on the negative side. And then for you guys, right, your goal is to have something so great that people would be freaking out if it went away. And then after that, it's so much easier for your associates to be passionate about it because it's something that they feel like whether you join the business or not, you should be using this. So for you, I know it's the last question, but direct sales network marketing math, that means two questions, right? We know the math in the direct sales profession.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do another question with that. So what does winning look like for you for Super Patch? Like you fast forward 5 years from now, what does winning look like?
10 million customers. It's not even debatable. It's on every whiteboard in my home. It's on every whiteboard in the office. That's the focus. We're going to help our field get 10 million customers. We're going to have a customer base of 10 million people globally who are product users, product promoters, product evangelists that love it. And everything we do is commit to that. So like we're 2.5 years old, Rob. We just launched version 2.0 of our products right now. They're starting to roll out. The best. When you make the best, that's it. It doesn't matter. We have the Ferrari of products. We have the best product going. Why? And that gives us so much leverage. Right? And so why did we launch it last? And I'll answer, you didn't ask about it. Why did we launch this thing 2.5 years in? Because innovation can't stop. Innovation can't stop. We got to make it better and better. And I already know what the next 5 patches are going to be. I know what the next iteration of the platform is going to be. We know 10 years down exactly what it is. So get to 10 million, and then we know what it is. Get to 5 years, we know what the iteration is going to be. At 7.5 years, at 10 years. And if we don't have that plan, we cannot be to my friends out there, you cannot be a multi-hundred million, billion-dollar business without a robust product plan and roadmap of what value you're going to bring the world.
I mean, how many of you tuning in right now, if I were to ask you, I don't know what your role is, right? You have all different roles. What's the goal 5 years from now? Could answer that fast and with one sentence, less than a sentence, really. I mean, a couple words. So I guess it's a sentence, but 10 million customers. Think about that. Like there's the clarity and there's the focus. Now from that, everything else makes sense. When you've done the market research of, the 3 that are the most important, of planning ahead for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, of having your CapEx program, of investing in your unicorns, but it all stems from the very top of 10 million customers. That's it. There's no, one of my favorite quotes from Leonardo da Vinci is simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
100%.
So the simplicity is there, right? And then everything else that's done, everything is how do we get to 10 million customers? How many of you, honestly, like go think about that. If you're whatever role you're in, go ask a couple of your coworkers, say, hey, what's the 5-year goal? And I will bet most of the time they're unsure. And if you're not sure, you're never going to get what you want because you don't know what you want.
And 10 million is not a big number, Rob. You know how many cell phones Apple sells every year? Hundreds of millions. Think about it. It's not a big number. Right? People are like, oh, that's crazy. I go, who said? Coca-Cola is 4 billion servings a day. Sorry. I mean, I'm just saying what's like. So my aspiration and my ambition is tied to what I see as real. How many Netflix subscribers out there globally? Prime subscribers, right? So the advantage of coming from a technology background, number of units, number of users, number of units, number of users. A technology's value is the large number of people whose lives it can enhance. Google's value because of billions of people use it. Facebook's value because billions of people use it. Netflix's value because hundreds of millions of people have it. There's roadmaps to this, right? But what you got to deliver is on the promise of your value. And you got to improve it every day because that's our responsibility. Commit to excellence. Commit to being the best. Success will come. Success always follows greatness. Always. Always will.
Well, With that said, there's not much more to say. I mean, that was the perfect finish. I love the simplicity of the vision that gives everybody a little bit more clarity, a little bit more insight on the success that you guys have already had, because that's the goal, is taking a lot of information, and we could spend hours and days on just driving on one specific theme, but then simplifying it all to help everybody in this profession, where we can actually take action and we can elevate and improve this profession, because it really does help all of us. That is the vision. And so very, very honored and grateful to fill in for Wayne. He's such an incredible host. I love what the DSN does. I love all of these podcasts. And Jay, as always, I know CEOs and owners have a to-do list. It's a couple hundred things and so many things to do, especially early on in the week as we're recording this right now. For all those that watch the replay, we know, and I hope you found tremendous value. And most importantly, you take something that you implement and execute to help elevate this incredible profession. Jay, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I greatly appreciate it. And I know all of your colleagues appreciate it as well.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, Rob. Always enjoy spending time with you, my man. Hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in. Please take a moment to subscribe and give a 5-star rating and review to help Direct Approach continue to provide more candid insights and interviews for direct selling corporate executives.